Guys, do you remember the days when you were ready to go at the drop of a hat in the bedroom? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready to go whenever the opportunity strikes. Blue Chew has made all the difference in the bedroom for me personally, and if you could benefit from extra function and more confidence where it counts, Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance. Most guys talk a good game, but Blue Chew helps you follow through. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor's visit, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, and best of all, no more awkwardness. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code SATURDAY. You just pay $5 shipping. Again, that's BlueChew.com. Promo code SATURDAY to try it free. Thanks so much to Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast this week. And remember, Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice.
Snap to Mahomes at his belt, sidestepping, fires for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught. Touchdown, Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes.
I thought he was just jumping in the stands and he grabbed the camera. I was like, what in the world?
Firing down the seam, Tyreek Hill. 10-5, touchdown, Kansas City.
Set the tempo early, baby. Set the tempo early, baby.
You are now listening to the official PM15 podcast. Presented by GASN Sports. Dedicated to NFL MVP Patrick Mahomes as he establishes his legacy and continues on his journey to bring a Super Bowl to Chiefs Kingdom. Featuring weekly guests, expert analysis, and fan interaction. Now, please welcome your hosts, Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger.
Noah, is there a place out there that haunts your dreams, quite like Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts? We were, of course, on hand there in January of 2016 as the Chiefs went to a divisional round playoff matchup with the Patriots and lost that game, and walking out of there and the sorrow we felt. Unfortunately, the Chiefs are 1-2 against the Patriots since then. They did win in a regular season game in 17, but Patrick Mahomes 0-2 against the Patriots, heading there to take on the 10-2 Patriots. All of a sudden, they feel like the team that's more like 8-4 as the Chiefs are, and the Chiefs feel like a team maybe gaining some steam, getting healthy. As we go on to this matchup, we're going to still look back on the win over the Raiders as we talk with our guest this week, former Raiders first-round pick and the subject of the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary, the Marinovich Project. Todd Marinovich going to be joining us. Before we do that, Noah, here we go. Chiefs are going to the Patriots again. Only good news, maybe it's not in prime time.
Yeah, that is some good news. You talked about what horrified me, if Gillette horrifies me, and going back to the AFC Championship game, and so far this year, I think Arrowhead might horrify me more. We lost the AFC Championship game in brutal fashion, thanks D Ford, and this year losing to the Colts and Texans at home and Packers has been kind of a disaster. You think Arrowhead, we have that home field advantage, and just the offense hasn't been the same at home this season. So to me, with this Patriots team, just how lackluster their offense is, and the game is on the road, our offense is playing better on the road. I'm not horrified. It's not daunting going into Gillette as it normally is. So I'm kind of fine, and I think the Chiefs have a good chance to come away with a win.
Yeah, if you go to our website, gasnsports.com, I wrote an article this week about 5 reasons why the Chiefs win this game in Gillette Stadium. And one of those is the fact that, New England's offense is struggling. That's not news. It's the 14th ranked overall offense in the NFL. Their defense is second in total defense. We know how good their defense has been. Unless
they play the Ravens and Texans, the two good opponents they play, yeah. Then they struggle a little bit.
Not only that, the Chiefs' offense, Noah, has been better on the road, averaging 417 yards a game to just 351 at home. Now, those numbers are skewed a bit by the fact that Patrick Mahomes was out of 2 of those games, and playing in swirling, horrible wind against the Raiders probably limited that passing attack. Although the Chiefs may have a receiver problem, Noah.
Sammy Watkins is on milk cartons, I'm hearing. Have you seen this man?
5 catches for 55 yards combined for the receiving core against the Raiders, all 5 and 55 for Tyreek Hill. Nobody else had a single catch in the game. Bad sign or just an anomaly?
It's got to be a bad sign because no matter what it is, and I hear a lot of people on Twitter that go through the game film and they're saying Sammy Watkins is open, but and probably as he should, Patrick Mahomes is looking for Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, a check down. He's just not really looking Sammy Watkins' way. It's maybe third, fourth in his progressions down the field, and so maybe he's missing Sammy getting open here and there. But if Sammy's not catching balls, then you're starting to worry, is he going to start just thinking he's a decoy and kind of get lackadaisical on his routes and then not get open when Patrick Mahomes maybe needs to look for him, especially this week because you expect, as Bill Belichick has done in the past, Stephon Gilmore on Tyreek Hill, singled up, man-on-man, best corner, one of the best receivers, and then bracket coverage. 2 guys against Travis Kelce, and they're going to say, okay, other than that, if you can beat us with Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, LaShawn McCoy, Darwin Thompson, a screen to Blake Bell to win the game, as we did not come to fruition against the Tennessee Titans, then so be it. But we're not letting Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce beat us. So there's going to be a lot on Patrick Mahomes' shoulders. He can get it done, but will he? We'll see Sunday, 3:15.
It's strange because all those other players you mentioned have definitely shown the capability of definitely getting it done. McCole Hardman might be the team's second best receiver. I mean, Sammy Watkins started the year with a 200-yard outing against the Jaguars. So
it's just consistency for them.
It is, but if ever there were a time to go against this defense that knows how to scheme, that we saw it, they shut the Chiefs out in the first half of the AFC Championship game before the Chiefs came back and scored 31 on the shoulders of MVP Patrick Mahomes. Maybe Mahomes is still not quite 100% healthy. Maybe he's not going to be for the rest of this year. But what you see is what you get. This team struggles to run the ball. The offensive line struggles in the run blocking. They've been protecting Mahomes well. He's barely taken a hit since coming back from the injury. After all this, the Chiefs are 8-4, locked into the 4th seed currently. They've got Patriots, Broncos, Bears, Chargers, the remaining schedule. How does this play out? Is this a 12-4 team, or is it going to be one of those lose to the Patriots and then lose another game and you're 10-6? The division's on ice. Congratulations, you've won your 4th straight division, but
I feel like this team takes care of business. Whether it's 12-4 and they win out, or it's 11-5 losing to the Patriots and winning after that. But if they do win out, I think there's an outside shot at a 2 seed here and a bye, which I think this team desperately needs with all the injuries we keep having with Darrell Williams, Damian Williams, with the rib cartilage injury, and so we're not sure if he's going to be back this week. So we signed Spencer Ware, so we'll see what he can do. Welcome back, Spencer Ware. We've missed you. I didn't think I'd be saying that after drafting Kareem Hunt and what he's doing, but with the fumbling issues that LaShawn McCoy's having and just kind of an unknown commodity there, and Darwin Thompson, maybe we do miss Spencer Ware a little bit. We'll see what he can do and if he can get up to speed this quickly to have any impact in this Patriots game. But I look for the Chiefs to win out. I think that they can win this game, and if they win out, the Patriots would need one more loss, and it looks like the best chance for that would be, again, another game against the Buffalo Bills, which they barely won because of a blocked punt earlier this season. If they don't have that, maybe the Bills can win and we can get the 2 seed.
Well, the Patriots special teams is in fact special. The Chiefs has been a disaster all season until Sunday. They blocked an extra point, returned it for 2. The Raiders missed a field goal horrendously, just the worst field goal I've ever seen attempted in the NFL. They caused a fumble on a kickoff, so the Chiefs special teams didn't down the ball, didn't fair catch the ball inside the 5, as per usual. So the Chiefs special teams maybe is getting a little better. The Patriots can win games that way. That's what they've done, defense and special teams. And Tom Brady, you can see it in the body language. He does not like this group of weapons he has. The Mohamed Sanu trade hasn't exactly worked out. Julian Edelman's the team's leading receiver, but he's injured right now. He's nursing the shoulder injury. Gosh, I don't know. You see Tom Brady after games, he's not even hiding it. He's visibly upset with these receivers and what's going on. And not only that, but Sony Michel leads the team in rushing. They have no other options other than that. James White has been relegated to swing pass out of the backfield duty his whole career. And Michel has really not someone that really scares you either. He's got 600 yards.
Yeah, I mean, Sony Michel's, it's a huge drop-off from his rookie year. He has not been impressive. They don't really have a run game. You can say they don't have one outside of him, but he hasn't been performing, so I don't really think they have one, which matches up well with us because we don't have one either. But you look at James White, Julian Edelman. I'm looking at Steve Spagnuolo, and I'm saying you have got to have a game plan to shut down Julian Edelman and James White. Those are the 2 key guys. If Lacoste, the tight end, beats you, Benjamin Watson, Mohamed Sanu, N'Keal Harry, the rookie, who's all in the doghouse because he's running wrong routes and dropping footballs. So you can get in the doghouse real quick with Bill Belichick. So It comes down to Julian Edelman and James White. If they're having big days, then Steve Spagnuolo has failed miserably.
So before we bring in our guest, Todd Marinovich, and how this links to the Chiefs, of course, he was a Raiders quarterback, first-round pick, and he has been the subject of the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary, The Marinovich Project. Todd is someone that joined us a few years ago on our Not For Long show on YouTube, and now he's joining us here. Todd is one of the more interesting figures maybe in NFL history. Of course, played football at USC, was groomed by his dad, Marv, from the time he was a kid. Literally had a Sports Illustrated article about him in the 80s that called him the Robo QB. He was not allowed to eat sweets or burgers. He was literally groomed and trained since he was a toddler. A cautionary tale, perhaps, about the pressures we put on kids? Absolutely. I can't wait to talk to Todd and see what he's been up to today. He played football as of a year ago on a semi-pro team. So at the age of 48, it's incredible. He's had a lifelong battle with addiction, arrests, problems. Also, just a genuine guy that I think just never could quite get acceptance from his father. So we'll see kind of where he's at and how things have been going for him the last few years since we talked last.
A very eclectic, interesting human being, just Todd is. He just gives off that presence, that aura. He's an artist now, does great work. And so that's interesting to talk to him about. In that last interview, if a lot of you are listening to this and saying his dad was hard on him, he couldn't have sweets, he was all about football and training him into be this Robo QB. If you don't know a lot about that story or aren't understanding just the level that it goes to, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this story, and this is something I brought up in our past interview, the story of Michael Jackson and Joe Jackson, and how Michael never had a childhood, and we all saw just kind of what that did to him growing up. He created the Neverland Ranch and felt like a kid, and so he hung around kids, and he'd go have ice cream out there and merry-go-rounds and sleepovers, and they'd just play, and that's who Michael was. He was just a grown child, and his dad just brutally just practiced over and over again. If you don't get it right, you're going to get beat, you're going to get hit. He was ridiculed for his looks. You've got a big nose, it doesn't look right.
You have acne, and
you have exactly, and so. And I brought that up to Todd, and he said, yeah, that's a pretty good parallel. That's a pretty good similarity as to what I went through. It's not the same. There's different variances in it, but that's pretty much what they both went through. They both lost their childhood because their fathers were building them up to be the best quarterback to ever play and the king of pop, which Michael Jackson grew up to be. He overcame that and was the king of pop, and you saw that Todd Marinovich had his issues, and it never kind of came to fruition in the NFL.
Well, he's a guy that's it's a daily process. He's got kids. He's just a guy that's searching for kind of his sense of self and his sense of belonging. And he's had numerous problems and run-ins, but he's a genuinely good guy. The last time we talked to him, he'd been sober about a year. I think he's had a couple setbacks since then. Again, he played football just a year ago at the age of 48. He's 49 now. So we want to go ahead and get to this interview. Gosh, Todd, it is just great to have you back on the show, my friend. Great to hear from you. How is everything going, man?
I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, we are so great, man. It's been I just looked it up. It's been over 3 years. In the meantime, nothing's really happened, Todd. Meanwhile, I mean, you've only played football again since we last talked to you.
Wow.
Right? You've thrown 7 touchdowns in a football game since we last spoke.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I had. It was interesting. I live out in the Coachella Valley, and I moved out here about 3 years ago, and I was really active in the community, doing a lot of talks to local high schools and just sharing, what I went through in my experience, and have had a ton of life lessons, so to speak, and like we all do. And, the community was really welcoming, and I got to do that, and it was super cool. And one of the things I was doing, I was coaching with this football team that were a bunch of guys that young, aspiring young men, football players that wanted to make it to the next level. And these they're not kids, they're young men, and they played all over college football all over the country and had some stumbles along the way, like myself, and they were trying to get back to their dream. And I was working with them, and Coach Miller was the head coach, and their quarterback at the time got a head coaching job at a high school out here, and they were quarterbackless. And he looked at me and he goes, "Scott, you're in shape. Why don't you give it a shot?" And I hadn't actually played clear-minded. That's minus drugs and alcohol since I was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
And I went, you know what? Yeah, I will give it a shot. And I wanted to really know, because I got carried away in this kind of a locomotive of an experience early on where I really didn't know because it started so young, because my dad was a part of football since, his whole life. But as early as I can remember, I was at training camps and looking up to these guys, these giants of men, and I was like, I want to do that. And then along the way, I really never questioned it. And so, when my NFL career was cut short because of my illness, I wondered. I was like, God, did I really even want to play? I knew I did at a young age, but did it get out of control to where I may have bowed out earlier than I did? And so, a long answer to, I don't know if you even asked the question, but I just really wanted to see if I loved it, and I did. It was super fun, and one of the best parts about it was the offense that they're called the Southern California Coyotes ran was put in by Mouse Davis, the old run and shoot guy, one of the really godfathers of the passing game. And I even flew up to where Mouse has retired to, up in Portland, and spent a weekend with him. And what a treat. He's in his mid-80s, and you would not even know it. Guy is full of life, just a ton of wealth of information. And I had never been in a system like that where actually I felt like the offense has an unfair advantage. Because everything that it was aimed to do is the receivers all had choice routes. I had never been in a system like that before, because we always had one guy, and that was usually my go-to guy, either a tight end or kind of like slot receiver. And it was super fun. And I only played one game. That's all I needed. I think I was 48, 49 at the time. And my teammates are in their early 20s, and it was super. That's the whole thing. What the goal was, is it fun? And you know what football is? Yeah, it was more than that. It was a great experience.
Well, Todd, Tom Brady's only 42 years old. The Chargers may be moving on from Phillip Rivers out there in your backyard in Los Angeles. Are we going to have an NFL comeback here?
With me?
Yeah.
That's flattering, Clint. But no, that's my last, shot at it. And it really wasn't, I don't think it can be considered a comeback. It was more a personal quest. Just really, like I explained, just to see if I really enjoyed what I had spent so much time doing. And I look back on, because I played a lot of football, even though it was a really, really short career in the NFL. There was a lot of hours spent on and off the field that, the normal person doesn't realize when, and now I have a 10-year-old boy who is an aspiring, young football player that dreams of big things, and I support that. I like to share with him the players that he's watching. And it's funny, because, kids are, and they get it from their parents, they get critical about guys that they're seeing are the best in the world. And when I kind of chuckle and then have to pull him aside when he is critical about it, and I just got to say that what we get to see on Sundays, there's thousands upon thousands of hours that these guys have dedicated themselves to, which is really it's special. And I think we need to be careful because we all have our teams, and there's a lot of rivalries between other teams that we can lose sight of the special qualities of these athletes.
We're in Kansas City. We have connections to you, of course, because your first 2 games that you ever started, if you remember, 1991, were 2 in a row against the Kansas City Chiefs here at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah.
Take us back to that, because we, of course, Patrick Mahomes is here and doing so well, and it's been great for the city.
Wow.
We just played the Raiders for the final time as a California team as they get set to move. But your first 2 starts against the Chiefs in the final week of the season and the first round of the playoffs in 1991. Talk about that, your first 2 starts of your career, and it was in Kansas City, just about what you experienced here, the Arrowhead Stadium, and the crowd. Obviously, they were both losses for the Raiders, but you actually had a good game, especially that first one. The second was a low-scoring defensive battle. So just kind of take us back to that.
Those are special memories, and it's really sour grapes why I don't like Kansas City Chiefs. I never beat them.
That's fair.
I have the same feelings towards those Golden Domers, like I like to say. And it was, why don't I like them? Because I never beat them.
Yeah.
So talk about the first one. I saw it was weird, Clint. The first game compared to the second game, it was like they fielded a different squad. And so I look at the variables. Why would that be? Well, one, we had the old AstroTurf back in the day, as you know, in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And that defense on turf, that turf changed the game of football in so many ways. And what I felt and what I experienced was those guys coming off the corner, their angles and the speed of them, it was, like I said, it was like 2 different teams. And a guy named Derek Thomas, a legend, could rush the passer. And the game has changed, but the thing that remains is if you put pressure on the quarterback, you win usually. And I could be wrong, but if you don't turn the football over, that's the main one. And I turned it over. I gave it to Jerry 3 times. And I'm like, God, I can throw it to anybody else, but not draw on Jerry 3 times in one game. And so the funny thing about that is we had an opportunity, which I don't even really care if I turned it over 3 times, if we have a chance to win at the end, and we did, which is surprising, playing away. And playing in that stadium was one of the most hostile environments I have ever been in. And with the temperatures, with the crowd, with the turf, with the defense that could run and hit you, it wasn't, it didn't go in our favor,
Well, fast forwarding to today, we're talking about the Oakland Raiders, and things still aren't going the way of Derek Carr when he comes into Arrowhead. And do you think that John Gruden has this going in the right direction? Do you think Derek Carr is the long-term answer at quarterback?
You know what? I totally am on board with Coach Gruden, and because to make a true change, I think it isn't huge growth. It's just like my own life. It's the little ones that add up, and they're not going to go to the Super Bowl this year, probably not next year. But I have a feeling, because there are moments throughout this year where they're like, "Damn, the Raiders, they're fielding a competitive squad," and obviously that's not what Mr. Davis, his goal is. But I think that Coach Gruden is the guy, and he's going to lead them there. I'm that Raider organization, guys. I'll tell you what, I don't know what it's like for other ex-NFL guys that played at other teams, but what it's like to be a Raider is it's like family. And when they say once a Raider, always a Raider, they live it, and they bring all past Raiders back every year. We're treated like royalty, and it's just not once a year for a reunion. They're there for us and our family. I could go on and on about how impactful the Raiders have been, and especially Mark. I called him on his birthday, and I called him Mr. Davis. And he goes, Todd, there's only one Mr. Davis.
Right.
And, yeah. And the thing that Al Davis passed on to his son, Mark, was that quality of we're taking care of our players. And that makes me feel so good because I was there for a blip of a time. However, don't see it like that. They know the work and that it, like I was talking about, that it takes. And when I was out on that field, I gave everything I had, and I would have gave my life when I was there on the field. And they turn around and are really so supportive. I can't even say enough about that Raider organization. It's fantastic, and I'm so honored to be a part of it.
Well, we're good friends with George Atkinson, so I don't know if you knew him or not, but we're really good friends with him. He says the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, cool. He's a great dude. I tell you what, Todd, it was just so sad for us to read the Sports Illustrated article and to read about your dad Marv battling Alzheimer's, and I wanted to bring it up only because I wanted to ask you if that happening and kind of what you've gone through with him, if that going through the disease that he's going through, which is horrible and crippling, and no one should ever have to go through that, if that's sort of put your relationship, your football past, your life more in perspective as you and your family has had to deal with this?
It's, God, I can't even describe what it, and I, like you hit it on the head. It's something that I wouldn't wish on anybody to see a parent or any loved one go through this. It was I say it is what it is, and he, at this point, I was just there last week, and thank God for the gift of music, because at this point, that's what I bring him, and he loves it. I write songs. I'm an artist, and so there's been times in my life where I haven't had a canvas or paint around, and so I had a guitar, and I picked it up, and I write songs, and I play them, and that's what I do when I go visit him, and it's such a gift, man, because he'll get his knee tapping, and his head, he almost is looking like Ray Charles, closing his eyes, his head's going back and forth, and that is priceless, because he can't verbalize who I am, but there's something in his heart that knows who I am, and I feel that, and that's why, till the end, I will continue going and bringing him a part of me through song, which is super special. It is like one of the hardest things that I've had to walk through, because, gosh, seeing somebody, and this is what really, not even somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia, just seeing your folks deteriorate is such a trip where it just, everything changes as we get further along in this journey, where I'm questioning it when I had kids, and now they're 8 and 10, which just blows me away. I was just holding them. It felt like,
right.
And my friends are further along in this parenting thing, where most of them now are in college, the kids of my close friends, and so they get to see me kind of pick up a little later. But they told me all this stuff. And until you experience it, you don't know. But it happens so fast. trying to enjoy every moment with them, and in my dad's case, I am so lucky because the article was brilliantly written.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Michael Rosenberg was how he pieced all that together. I don't even know how he did it. What it did, it brought me and my sister closer together.
Yeah.
My mom and I now are even closer together. And it was so honest on both my part and my sister Tracy's part, where we grew up in a house where I was looking at her like she's the lucky one, and she was looking at me like I'm the lucky one because I'm getting all the time and attention. And it's both of our experiences were abusive, and not that anybody. I really think that growing up in this world today, you experience trauma. I don't think there's any escape. And something that I do want to say before we sign out is, in my recovery process, I did not realize, and I don't think the whole rehabilitation from drugs and alcohol realized until late, what a part trauma plays in someone's addiction, in their life. And it seems to pan out to where they struggle with drugs and alcohol if you haven't addressed the trauma that you experienced at a young age. And finally, I did this treatment called EMDR, and it changed my life. It really is a reprocessing of this trauma that you've had. And what I found out, which was amazing, is since my trauma was so intense, it was burying all these beautiful, beautiful experiences and memories that I just didn't realize were even happened until I did this treatment. And so it really changed my whole perspective on my folks, my sister, on my life. And so my whole message, Clint, is that if anybody's had childhood trauma, look up EMDR and explore it, because it really profoundly affected me.
That's so wonderfully said, Todd, and I just love the fact that you can be in this kind of situation with your dad and be able to kind of confront your past and move on from it and look to where he's at now and know that that football is still a big part of your life. That's wonderful to know, because for a lot of people that could have been the end and you could have never looked back. And I'm just so glad to hear things are going so well for you, Todd. I've been thinking about you a lot lately. That's why I reached out. And before we let you go, I know you still are commissioning paintings, still doing great work as an artist. Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you, how they can, if they wanted a painting done, how they could do that, and how they can get a hold of you and make that happen, and what you can do for them.
Thanks, Clint, and I really appreciate you having me on. And you're right, I could talk to you for the rest of the afternoon.
Right.
And it would be easy. It wouldn't feel like a chore.
Right.
And art has been, I have always said art, I was an artist first and then an athlete, and now I've been getting to paint for a living, and it's been a dream. And if anybody has any interest, it's my website's marinovichart.com. And I have been fortunate, just, for the last 11 years of people contacting me and coming to me with an idea, and I get to create it, and they get to hang it in their homes, and that's super, super special. And now I'm at a point where the Raiders, like I was saying, I've done some pieces the last few years for them, and as you know, they're moving to Las Vegas, and they have a space there. That's, wow. I get to create some art for the stadium and for their facilities in Henderson, and I just get to paint it, and they're not saying, do this, do that. They respect my artistic eye and ability, and so I get to just paint. And so if you're ever out in Las Vegas, which I think a lot of people are, I think that's going to be a really good move for them.
Yeah.
We'll see. You might see some of my stuff hanging in the rafters. Yeah, it gives me goosebumps.
Well, I am so glad for that, and so just such a fan of your story. I mean, I remember watching the Marinovich Project and being just completely riveted. That came out in 2011. And since then, we've been able to interview you twice here on our show, and we can't thank you enough for that. Next time that we're out in the Southern California area, man, let's get together and hang out sometime and show us some of the work you've done. Show us what's up, man. We'd love to do it. We'd love to, grab some lunch somewhere, maybe some In-N-Out Burger. It's my favorite. That's the only place I know where to go, and I'm in Southern California. So I never miss that. But no, we got to make it happen, man. It'd be great to do that. We should make that happen next time we're out there.
For sure. Anytime, Clint. Yeah, contact me. You got my number.
Yeah. Todd, you're the best, man. Continued success, continued health, continued happiness. Best of wishes to your family and to your father right now. And we'll definitely be in touch. Let us know how everything's going, and we'll do it again soon. Can't thank you enough for doing it with us today, my friend. Well, there you have it with our good friend Todd Marinovich. It's great to catch it back up with him. It's been a few years, and it sounds like he's doing really good. I mean, does the paintings. He does great work. He'll commission you a painting. Just find his Facebook. He has a Facebook page. It's Todd Marinovich, and he commissions paintings where you can give him some ideas, give him what you want, and he will paint it for you. So please, do that. He's a really good artist and someone with a fantastic, eye for detail. And someone that, obviously the game of football still means something to him. And we learned that when he decided to play professional semi-pro football after 17 years away from the game just a year ago. So continued success, we hope, for our good friend Todd Marinovich. So before we get out of here on the official PM15 podcast, predictions for Sunday. I've got Chiefs 20 and Patriots 17. This is one of those low-scoring games that we saw, maybe similar to maybe the Colts game. I know the Chiefs don't play a lot of games that are under 24 points. We've done that a couple times this year, and I think this is another one where it's going to be hard to maybe move the ball and put up a lot of points. I think the Chiefs do just enough to get it done here, and the defense maybe continues its streak of turning the ball over and creating some problems for Tom Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's pretty much my score. I have it 23-17, so that's kind of my prediction, what I came up with, and it's going to be a low-scoring game. I worry about Julian Edelman and James White and whether Spagnuolo is going to have a good enough game plan, and we have the right players to deal with those two nightmares that can be in the passing game. We've had our issues with the run game. The Patriots aren't running the ball well, so if you start seeing Sony Michel go off and breaking big runs, that is an appropriate time to worry, panic, pop a Xanax or something, because it could be a long day for the Chiefs if that starts happening. If we can shut down the run, focus on Edelman and White in the pass game, and really deal with them and kind of shut them down as best as we can, then we have a great chance of going to Gillette and winning this football game.
It would be big for momentum's sake to get this win and to continue this thing on. I don't think in the grand scheme of things this game is all that huge for the playoffs because the Chiefs, barring some real help, are going to be a 3 or 4 seed. That's just how it is. But, you win this game and then you can start looking towards these things and, hey, we can get this. The Bills play the Ravens on Sunday, so you never know. Maybe Ravens beat Bills beat Patriots, then you're the 2 seed that way, and you win out. So there's a lot of things you can point to, but in the grand scheme of things, a loss here doesn't kill you, but a win could really catapult you into the direction that this team was set out to do this whole time, which was Super Bowl or bust. Our owner said that during training camp.
And after, beating the Raiders, you pretty much have the AFC West locked up. So, like Clint said, that this loss doesn't kill you. But if you have any shot, any hope, any prayer of a 2 seed, a bye, which I think this team really needs, I think they can overcome being a wild card and getting all the way there. But it would just be that much more. They'd be that much more ahead of the game if they can take that week off, prepare. We know what Andy Reid is like on a bye week. Just getting this team healthier. That's another game that Mahomes doesn't have to play where he can risk upsetting that ankle or knee again. I think it's big for them to try and get this bye week, so they'll need to win out, get a little bit of help with the Buffalo Bills beating the New England Patriots. And, I like the Chiefs' chances in this game. I'd like to see them be impressive, get back to that high-flying offense, put up 31 points or more against this great defense and hold the Patriots to 17 or under and really take this game and this could be a statement game if they go into Gillette and beat the Patriots by 2 scores or more. The Ravens did it. I don't see why we can't.
Well, big thanks to our sponsor, Noble Apparel. Again, they have 5 great locations in the Northland, guys, including not all over Kansas City, which includes the Northland, which is right off there of North Oak Traffic Way in the Northland, and several other locations. I think Overland Park and just
Westport.
Find them on Facebook, Noble Apparel KC. and you can find them on Facebook. They're our sponsor, and they're tremendous. You heard the commercial at the beginning of the podcast. Also, big thanks to Todd Marinovich for joining us. If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, or Spotify. We always appreciate the feedback, so let us know how we're doing. Let us know what other guests you'd like to hear on this show, as we always like to make it Chiefs-centric or make a connection to the Chiefs somehow. Sometimes we just like to kind of go off kilter and talk some NFL and do some other things, which is kind of what we do with Todd Marinovich today, although he did, of course, play for the Oakland Raiders. Actually played for the LA Raiders. That's their last game, and we will never play them again as a California team, so we just might start calling them Las Vegas. Thanks so much for joining us here on the official PM15 podcast. Be sure to hit us up there on our Facebook page at GASN Sports, Twitter at PM15 Podcast, and of course we have a contest going right now. Free Chiefs tickets. We're giving them away. Go to the Patrick Mahomes Fans Facebook page group and sign up today to win those tickets. Thanks so much for joining us.